Have the lessons of the Holocaust been learned by today's youth? What do you think? I'm Eric Donner, founder and chair of Gen Z Project for Next Generations. In the United States today, there are still so many students who have no or very little knowledge of the Holocaust. It is critical that they learn it now. And once all of the Holocaust survivors are gone, there will be no eyewitnesses for our children to learn from. We need to address this before history repeats itself. We need to address it now. Come with us on a brief journey. See just how Next Generations and its Gen Z project are affecting the lives of today's youth through our Holocaust Survivor Story Expression Workshop. We are rolling up the sleeves in the classroom and we need your help. Let me tell you briefly about our workshop. It is a formal lesson plan that can be easily integrated into an existing Holocaust or genocide curriculum at a university, high school, or middle school. After learning a survivor's story, students retell the story through a story expression which counts as part of their grade. It's all about creative learning by tapping into their emotional intellect to create their own unique story expression.
I teach a class on the Nuremberg trials. We have some of the original documents in our library, and before I can actually go through the trial transcripts, they have to understand what the Holocaust is all about. I have to get them to be invested emotionally. I want them to connect with some Holocaust survivors. So I was so fortunate when Gen Z approached me and said, we can bring Holocaust survivors to your classroom. And they brought 2 Holocaust survivors to class. It was a husband and a wife, and they told their stories. And I'm telling you, you could have heard a pin drop in that classroom. Nobody moved.
Our mothers took the yellow star off our coats, and we went out to buy bread, stand in line in bread. Can you imagine the desperation of a mother sending out her child to be killed? Because if we were captured, we would have been shot on the spot.
And from that little ghetto we were, 3 days and 3 nights, we ended up in Poland, in Birkenau. That's the death camp.
I think they really understood what it was like to be a victim of the Holocaust. And they couldn't imagine living through some of the horrors that these survivors lived through. And when this was over, they stayed. They actually stayed another hour to process what they heard. And a couple of people actually teared up. I mean, it was definitely emotional. They created their own Gen Z story expression projects. And it could be in any art form. And a lot of them are not artists. They're like, I can't draw, I don't know what to do. I'm like, it's okay. You know, just think about something specific, some kind of message you want to tell your friends or your family members or your cousins, somebody that you want to get that message across to.
Knowing more about the Holocaust, and with Professor Kirker's class, knowing more about the trials that happened afterwards, it gave it like a whole other side to the story. But hearing the stories, it makes it more real. It kind of brought it home.
It was crazy. I've only heard about it in class and, heard of stories through paper and books that I've read and different things like that, but nothing was actually the same as seeing it like firsthand and talking to Mary and Joe.
I just could not imagine having to live through that. And it was really incredible just hearing their story.
It makes me a little bit more open-minded. I'll always remember that people actually did go through these kind of things.
I had a piano lesson the following week, and my instructor asked me to compose a piece, and I kind of tried to isolate like turning points in their stories. When her mother kept feigning an illness and saying, my daughter is my nurse, she has to take care of me, and so that's what kept them there. And then I put their stories with it, with the piano piece in a video.
On a piece of wood platform, I put clay, and I put remember it did happen and words. On top I put a bunch of like colored glass all over it, on the words, on the ground, everything.
And in my haiku, it basically started from the beginning and explained what Mary and Joe's life was before the Holocaust and then what they had to endure.
I thought about it for days. I thought about what they had told us in their stories for days and days and days. And I still think about it now.
The way that Gen Z does it really engages students.
Because that's what I love about stories. When somebody tells you a story, you remember it.
My name is Greg Garfinkel. I'm a senior at Lynn University. I joined Gen Z in honor of my great-grandfather, Klyman Mandelsberg.
My name is Abraham Mercado. I'm a senior at Florida Atlantic University, and I got involved with Gen Z about 2 years ago when they approached me to make their promotional video.
On every campus, there's so much ignorance on the Holocaust and what happened back then. And Gen Z is given the opportunity to teach every student and pass along the message of what happened in the Holocaust.
For the past 25 years, I've worked with the International March of Living and the local March of Living called the Southern Region of the United States. And I work with students who are in 11th and 12th grade, along with a lot of staff members and survivors in order to take them through the history.
I had a wonderful friend that I met here in Florida when I came here to live 9 years ago from London, who was a Holocaust survivor. And she passed away 3 months ago.
I think it gives a lasting impression to meet survivors. I think it's a touching experience. You know, it's one thing to read it, it's another thing to see the person and their real feelings behind it.
I've seen 3 Holocaust survivors in my life, but they were all when I was younger, and so I didn't really get to fully appreciate.
It's intense, it's personal, it's relevant, and it's meaningful. It's a lot better than actually reading it from a book or seeing it in a movie.
It'll change your life, and it needs to, because we've become complacent.
If we don't, take the time to learn about it from them, then it's going to be through a textbook only.
The Gen Z story workshops are very effective in the way it allows a student to sit with a survivor, learn about their story, take the history that they're learning in the framework of a course or a trip or whatever they might be doing, and make it meaningful on a personal level to the individual.
Every time I meet a survivor, I'm amazed at the way they value life, at the way that they look at life, at the positivity that they showcase.
I remember what Beatrice said, and I'll never forget it. She said, that was the last workshop I went to, life is for the living. After she shared how they didn't know if they were going to live from one moment to the next.
Every time a survivor talks about their story, if you watch closely and you look at their face and their body language, you know that they're reliving the instances that they're talking about. You could see the emotion and you could see the feelings come out. And when people talk from the heart, that's when students learn the most.
For them to connect to these young people and to talk to them and teach them about these lessons is to respect your fellow man, is to treat others the way that you want to be treated, is to respect others, to be tolerant of others' ways and beliefs and religions.
The Gen Z project is so important. The youngest survivor is 71 years old, and that survivor was an infant. So that survivor is telling the story of their family because they don't remember what happened during the Shoah. The survivors who experience the ghettos, the camps, the horrors, that are witnesses, that bear testimony, they won't be here within 5 or 10 years. They won't be able to do it. It's just the way it is. It's the reality of the cycle of life.
But if we don't hear the stories, when they're gone, they're gone. And if we don't listen, then how will we change it?
One of the reasons the Holocaust happened was not just because of hatred, it was because of silence.
Make that change happen, otherwise, why did they go through that? There has to always be a bigger picture. The children take, through their creative intention, they bring it to life.
There's so many different ways that a student can express him or herself to tell a story. And that's the beauty of what the Gen Z workshop is.
They do it through different media, whatever the student is interested in, poetry, art, and it makes a huge difference because it's relevant to the individual student.
The workshop can be from 7 to 9 at night or from 6 to 8 at night, but the students won't leave until an hour after which is supposed to end because they want to continue that interaction. You see a line waiting to hug the survivor, to be able to shake his or her hand, to connect with them, to take a picture with them.
That's because they've sat in and heard such horrific accounts where human beings are treated worse than animals, and they're bringing their story to life to give life, not to take it.
We're affecting so many more people in every single workshop.
So the urgency is that this has to be done immediately, wherever it can be done, so that students who are taking courses on college campuses, even in high school, will be able to have their story expressions and create this and learn from survivors directly and take that history that they're learning from a book and bring it to life.
Since there is a serious time constraint, we need to make the workshop scalable. Therefore, we are building an online, digital, educational platform for the Story Expression Workshop. This is Next Generation's effort to educate our youth on Holocaust before it is too late.
That's why I decided two things when I came out from the concentration camp. My frigidaire have to be full and educate the young generation what happened and what could happen.
Today, we bear witness to a new level of atrocities against humanity. Gen Z Project is our Tikkun Olam. It's Next Generation's way of repairing the world of today for a better tomorrow. Our mission is simple: to educate, motivate, and activate the youth of today and tomorrow. Won't you help us?